Hello students, I'm Miss Samantha, your Spiritual Care and Guidance Community Involvement Animator, and we are back for our third and final video on courage. So remember, in the first video we learned about what courage is, the definition of courage coming from the heart, doing something good, even the willingness to do it and act on it, the ability to do so even when we feel afraid or scared or nervous or embarrassed, we still know it's the right thing to do. And then in the second video, we learned about examples of extraordinary acts of courage. A lot of the time what we think of when we think of courage and bravery, it's this like standing and doing what's right, even in threat of death or imprisonment or pain or violence. But courage isn't always that. Courage is also ordinary acts of courage, like being kind and being honest, admitting when we're wrong. It takes courage to strike up a friendship, right? Like courage isn't always these extraordinary, huge things. We can find courage every day. And so today in this third video, we're going to learn about how we help our body go from that like flipped lid. Remember, like that amygdala, that lizard animal part of our brain, all that feeling part of our brain is like going strong, and it's like made it hard for our thinking brain to like settle down and to take control, right? We want our thinking brain sometimes to make some decisions for us. So the sympathetic nervous response is that stress response, right? It's that video that we saw of like what fear does to our body, and it's that heart rate accelerating and our breathing rate accelerating and our pupils expanding and our digestive tract stops and blood rushes to like all the parts of your body, your muscles in the center of your body to give you the strength and the energy to run or to fight back. But we don't always need that, right? Sometimes that same response that we need to run away from a scary animal triggers in us when we get a math test put in front of us. Is it helpful for us to like run away from a math test? We may want to, but not always. So what we want to do is when we have a math test or public speaking, or there's times when we need to overcome that fear and we need to be brave and be courageous, we need to cue in something called the parasympathetic nervous system. This is our relaxation response. It's the thing that calms us down. So our heart beats slow and rhythmically. Our breath is like full and deep. Our pupils go back to normal. Our digestive tract starts to work itself, digesting our food and absorbing those nutrients. It increases our blood flow to like important organs, to all the things, especially our brain and that front part, that thinking part of our brain. This helps you conserve your energy. It lifts your mood and helps you relax. So there's a few things that we can do. One of the first things that we can do, so say example of a math test in front of you, and you notice your heart rate accelerating, that deep breath, what you can do is just shake it out. So right, your body wants to run or fight. So one thing you can do is just try to get that energy out with like squeezing and releasing your hands or shaking your hands in a way that's not too distracting to others. Hopefully you might be able to ask in some cases if you can go do like a couple jumping jacks in the hallway, or you can like take a walk, things like that. But to get our body moving is one way to get that fear and that energy out, to complete the cycle. It's like, okay, you want to fight or you want to flee, let's just like, look, we're running away, body, even though you're not. Our body doesn't always know everything. So you can do that. So that's one of the first things you can do. The other thing is breathing. I know, Miss Samantha tells you this all the time, but the importance of breathing, it really is important and can make such a difference. So we're going to practice the brave breath. So we put our hand on a heart and a hand on our belly. And we're going to take a deep, full breath through your nose, like you're smelling something really good, like maybe cookies or popcorn. So we breathe in, and then you're going to make sure your belly and your chest is rising as you breathe in, and you're going to hold it, and then you're going to blow out like you're blowing hot cocoa to cool it down, or you're blowing bubbles, right? Whatever makes your heart happy. And then, so we breathe like this a few times, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. And while you're breathing, you can also say positive things in your mind, like I'm courageous, I'm safe, I feel good knowing I have strength and love to stand up for what's right. You can repeat after me while you're breathing. I use my whole body to practice courage. I can choose which part of my brain to use. Learning about my brain helps me be courageous. I can hold on to my personal power. And when I practice courage, it helps other people feel inspired to practice too. Sometimes emotions can be contagious, even courage. So sometimes if we see something that's not right and we stand up and we're courageous and we know what's right, we stand our ground and we use our words, it can help other people do the same, sometimes even adults. So the other thing we can do is stand tall, use our brave poses. So standing brave, right? Uh, so just like so that deep breath, that breathing in and breathing out, it helps our body come to this calm space. Because if we remember, our brain, right, that amygdala coming to that calm space is important. And so our body is triggered to that fight or flight. But when we take these deep breaths, it's telling our body, it's telling our mind, hey, we're safe, right? We don't need all these things kicking in high gear. We're good. Just bring it down. Let's breathe. So that's the reason that the breath and that deep breath and those affirmations can help us. What also can help is that standing in a brave pose. Because same thing, if our body wants to fight or it wants to flee or it wants to freeze, right? What we can do is just like if we just stand in this like strong, tall, like whatever your brave pose looks like. Sometimes mine is like my hands like on my waist, on my hips. Some people it's like one hand or it's like one hand up. Whatever it is for you, like or your hands up, like in this picture, right? Whatever it means to you to stand brave, to stand tall, we're going to practice for a second, okay? So get out of your seats, okay? And find your brave pose. What does your brave pose look like? We're just going to stand there. We're going to take some deep breaths standing in our brave pose for 15 seconds, okay? Right? So that's a way to get our brain, to get our body, to get back into that parasympathetic nervous system, that calm response. So our thinking brain comes back online, and can kind of take power. It can take steering so that you can say, right? And you can think and you can say out loud what it is you need. So I thank you all. And then there's going to be one worksheet, I think. Two, one, two. There we go. Sorry. There's two worksheets that now you can do as a class or individually. And so the first is there's so many ways to be courageous, right? So this is those ordinary acts of courage that we do every day. And so talking about how we feel can take courage to actually share, like, I feel sad right now, takes this, like, it's a way of being vulnerable. You don't know how people might respond, there's an uncertainty there. But it's important. It's a way to be brave, is talking about how we feel, asking others for help. So, in the first one, draw what you're feeling right now. Just like express your feelings. What is it you're feeling? Draw like either symbols to represent it, or use colors, or write it out, whatever works for you. In the second box, draw who do you ask for help when you need help? Think about at least 3 adults you can turn to in your life when you need help. The third one, being yourself, right? It's being kind to ourselves and being true to ourselves, being kind of proud of who you are, whatever that is, right? Loving yourself and just be yourself. So in this one, you can draw or write, you can draw like yourself, who you are, maybe standing in your brave pose, or you can write like the things about yourself that you love. And then the fourth one is being kind to others. So it takes courage sometimes to stand up and to be kind to everyone. So you can write about something you're hoping to do, or maybe a time that you were kind to others, or something you know you could do maybe a little better. Okay, up to you. And then the back of that sheet is drawing or writing one way you will practice courage in your life. So, what's one way, like an everyday or this week, what's one way that you're going to be courageous? Maybe it's getting a shot. We might have to get vaccines soon, right? So it's being courageous because you know that's the right thing to do. It'll help you be safe. It'll help our community be safe. But it takes courage, right? It can be scary to get shots. So think about one way that you'll practice courage. So now we're done. I thank you for these 3 videos. I hope you enjoyed. And Let's be courageous.